My friends, there is one decision, one single quiet decision that every millionaire I ever studied made early, and every broke man I ever met refused until it was too late. The world calls it many names. The economists dress it up in charts and jargon. But I will give it to you plain, the way Carnegie gave it to me, over a glass of bourbon in 1908. It is called time preference. Now don't reach for your dictionary. I'm going to make this so simple, even a child could understand it, and so profound that most adults will pretend they already knew. Time preference is nothing more than the answer to one question you ask yourself every single time you are tempted to spend, to consume, to seek pleasure right now. The question is this: do I want satisfaction today, or do I want power tomorrow? That's it. Low time preference is the man who says, I will deny myself the small pleasure today so I can own my tomorrows. High time preference is the man who says, I must feel good right now, even if it costs me everything later. You see it everywhere, don't you? Let me paint you a picture from the streets I walked. The young clerk in Pittsburgh, 1905. He buys the shiny new watch on credit because he wants to impress the girl at the factory. Flash forward 30 years, he's still paying interest on that watch while his children go hungry. High time preference. Or take the widow I knew in Chicago. She cashes her husband's life insurance, buys the fur coat for the winter ball, because life is short, Mr. Hill. By spring, the coat's in pawn, and she's back to scrubbing floors. High time preference again. But oh, the men who mastered this. Andrew Carnegie worked for pennies as a bobbin boy, saved every cent, invested in himself and in assets that grew while he slept. By 40, he owned the steel that built America. Thomas Edison went years without proper meals because every dollar went back into the laboratory. He failed 1,000 times, but each failure was a brick in the foundation of light itself. Henry Ford drove a beat-up old car long after he could afford better, because the money was busy building factories and dreams of wheels for every man. Low time preference. These men were willing to be uncomfortable today so they could be untouchable tomorrow. And here's where it gets deeper, like a river running beneath the city streets. Civilization itself is nothing but the slow lowering of time preference. Think of the savage in the jungle. He kills for meat today, mates without thought of tomorrow, because the future is a shadow, uncertain and dark. But man rises. He plants the seed instead of eating it, builds the family instead of scattering seed, raises children who will care for him in old age. That's low time preference. That's the foundation of every great society I ever saw. Money, you see, is the great regulator of this preference. It's like a control knob on the human soul. Hard money turns the knob toward tomorrow. Soft money cranks it wide open toward today. Let me show you what I mean with a tale from the old world. In ancient Rome, under the gold standard, a farmer could save his denarius, bury it in a jar, and dig it up a generation later to buy the same plot of land his father tilled. Value held, future trusted, temples built to last millennia, aqueducts that carried water 1,000 years. But when the emperors debased the coinage, clipped the edges, mixed in copper, the knob turned. Suddenly the farmer spent his denarius the day he earned it, rushed to the market before the value fled. Temples became smaller, shoddier, built for the moment, not the ages. High time preference, and the empire crumbled from within. Fast forward to my time, the 19th century under gold. Look at the buildings in Pittsburgh, in New York, cathedrals of stone that will stand 150 years, 200, because the money lasted. Men saved, planned, built for grandchildren they hadn't met. But today, in this age of paper promises, Houses are thrown up like tents, last 20, 30 years, then torn down for the next fad. Why? Because the money doesn't last. You save for a decade, and inflation eats half. So you spend now, build cheap, live for the weekend. And don't get me started on the food, the poison they peddle. The man of low time preference eats the steak, the grass-fed beef, knowing it builds his body for the long war. The man of high time preference grabs the candy bar, the quick sugar rush, because the crash tomorrow is someone else's problem. Governments love this. They push the cheap grains, the processed slop, because it keeps you hooked on now, dependent on their handouts, while your health rots away. I saw it in the breadlines of the Depression, men trading their vitality for empty calories, all because the dollar was already starting to soften. Relationships, too. Ah, the tragedy. Low time preference builds families, marriages forged in fire, children raised with purpose, knowing the parents will be cared for in frailty. High time preference? Fleeting affairs, divorces for happiness now, children shuffled between strangers, because commitment feels like a cage when tomorrow's uncertain. In Switzerland, where savings rates touch the sky, families thrive, communities endure. Wealth compounds not just in banks, but in bonds that outlast stone. But in the cities of endless printing, loneliness epidemics, birth rates crashing, because who plans a family when your savings evaporate like morning mist? And the architecture. God, the architecture tells the whole story. Under sound money, Gothic cathedrals piercing the heavens, designed by men who knew their great-grandchildren would pray beneath them. Under fiat, strip malls, McMansions of particle board, torn down before the mortgage is paid, because no one builds for forever when forever costs too much today. Even the socialists, those dreamers of equality, they never thrived under gold. Why? Because sound money demands low time preference, personal responsibility, property that can't be seized on a whim. But fiat? Ah, fiat feeds the beast. Print for the masses, confiscate from the savers, fund the central plans, the endless wars, the bread and circuses. No socialist regime ever ran on a gold standard, because gold says no to the impatient kings. Now, in this year 2025, the world teeters on the edge of two paths. One path leads to hyperinflation, paychecks spent before they cool, supermarkets stormed like battlefields, because value flees faster than you can run. The other path embraces the hard truth that low time preference is the seed of all abundance, and there is one invention, one creation of pure, unyielding law that turns that knob all the way toward tomorrow. 21 million. Never 21 million in one. Halving every 4 years, like clockwork. Decentralized across the planet. Secured by more energy than nations. Unconfiscatable. Unstoppable. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the first money in human history that says to the man of high time preference, no. No, you may not have more tomorrow because you spent today. No, you may not print your way out of bad decisions. No, your pleasure today will not be paid for by someone else's future. Bitcoin is the monetary incarnation of low time preference. Every sat you stack today is a vote for the man you decided to become. Every sat you spend on fleeting pleasure is a vote to remain the man you are. The world will laugh. They will call you paranoid. They will say, enjoy life. Let them. They are the same people who laughed at Carnegie for eating beans while he built steel mills. They are the same people who laughed at Ford for driving a wreck while he perfected the assembly line. History is unkind to the impatient. So I leave you with the only question that ever mattered. What is your time preference? Will you trade the best years of your life for trinkets and dopamine hits today? Or will you accept a little discomfort now, so your children and your children's children will never know the meaning of the word scarcity? The clock is ticking. The halving approaches. The decision is yours.
Subscribe, share, and join the mastermind. Until next time, hodl strong.